Hello bakers. This month marks the beginning of what we like to call social season. And during this is the time when people are thinking about getting with their families, but one fruit or berry is on everyone's mind, and that's cranberries. Now you usually may not think of it as in a cookie form, but today we're going to make some cranberry, and there's a secret ingredient, cranberry white chocolate chip cookies. So come along for the ride. I hope you like this. Let's get started. So our ingredient list includes 3 cups of pastry flour and white chocolate chips, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, a cup of cranberries, 3 eggs, the zest of 1 orange, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and a teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda. So let's get started. First we're going to bring our pastry flour. Now you can use a combination of bread flour and cake flour when making cookies, or you can just use all-purpose flour. And I'm adding the zest of 1 orange, and I'm going ahead and added it here in the flour. And I will tell you right now, this is our secret ingredient right here. This is what gives this recipe its power. When you smell the aroma of this orange zest just at this step of the process right here, it's intoxicating. You know you've made the right decision, because the orange zest is actually optional, but I would not leave it out. So we're going to cream together our sugar. That's a cup of granulated sugar, which I left out in our ingredient list earlier. My mistake. We're going to cream together a stick and a half of butter, our brown sugar, and our granulated sugar. Now these 3 ingredients together, sugar adds moisture, and sometimes it's actually included in wet ingredients list. Sometimes you'll have if you're baking a cake, you'll have your ingredients separated out, both your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients, especially if you're making a chocolate cake. But sometimes sugar is classified as a wet ingredient because it not only adds sweetness, but it adds moisture to what you're doing. Now with our cookies, they're going to be, in the end, you'll see they'll be nice and moist, but not too moist, not like a cake or a muffin or anything like that. Now this tool right here, this thing is giving me fits because it is more powerful than I remember. You can see butter going everywhere. I'm actually take the cover that I use on my stand mixer. You see how it has that little spout there where I can drop stuff in but keep the splatter from going everywhere. I actually attached that to the top of my mixing bowl right here, and that'll give me a little bit more control. I suggest don't try it like I did it. Just use a regular hand mixer. It'll save you a lot of mess, trust me. So we're going to cream that up. And you know, when you cream butter and sugar together, you want it to have that consistency when it's done of wet sand. And that's why it's important for your butter to be room temperature before you go, any dairy products that you're going to use, room temperature. But you want that butter to be nice and soft. And these eggs that I'm adding in, they also are room temperature. Now this recipe calls for 3 eggs, but you're going to use 2 eggs. And then, as you'll see later on, just an egg yolk. And we're going to cream that together. Now the egg, we all know that egg is the ingredient that holds or binds all of your ingredients together. But unlike, say for instance, a pound cake, you need a lot less egg when you're making cookies. A pound cake or just a regular cake can call for 3 all the way up to sometimes 7 eggs. I mean, it can get crazy. Even a cheesecake, but not so much in a batch of cookies. And as you can see, it's even surprising how little egg you need because of how big a batch of this cookie is. I don't know the exact science behind it. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. They call eggs an emulsifier, something that binds things together. So maybe I'll do a little research on that. Next time I make a video, I'll have some more information for that on y'all. But once we've gotten our ingredients combined, like you see, I'm gonna switch to a hand mixer. Once we've gotten our ingredients combined, we're almost good to go. And this recipe is so quick, so easy. You can bring this together in like 15 minutes. And then the bake time itself is like 12 minutes. So you can have cookies in under an hour easily if you choose to bake them right away. Added a splash of vanilla in there. That's our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We can't have anything good without vanilla. That's just my belief. Well, actually, it depends on what you're baking. But when it comes to cookies, you gotta have vanilla. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite brands of vanilla too. I like using this Island Spice Jamaican vanilla. But somebody left me recently some Caribe Puerto Rican vanilla. I'll share that with y'all later in another video. So now we're gonna add in our pastry flour. I found a really good deal on this pastry flour too. I got like a 50-pound bag for like $50. That may be a little extreme, but I plan on baking a lot of cookies. So pastry flour is, I know it's hard to find in the grocery stores, but you can buy some pastry flour on King Arthur's website. They have all kinds of different flours. They have pastry flour, bread flour, cake flour, wheat flour, gluten-free flour. So once this flour is completely blended, completely combined, you start adding in all your additives. And we're gonna start with these chocolate chips, white chocolate chips that is. And I always find that if I'm using someone else's recipe, however many chocolate chips they say add, I always double it. Because I mean, you just can't have enough chocolate chips if you're making a chocolate chip cookie. And white chocolate doesn't carry the same potency of flavor as the dark chocolates, the semi-sweet chocolates, the milk chocolates. So I'm always going to add more of that. Now, it's getting a little bit, our dough is coming together. It's forming up nicely, and it's kind of nice and tacky. But it's also a little bit tough to deal with, but that's okay. That's what you want to do. That won't create a tough cookie, but you don't want a dough that's almost batter-like. You want a real dough. Now it's time to add in these cranberries, which is going to take the flavor to another level. This combination of the cranberries, along with the orange zest, and along with the white chocolate, makes this cookie so good. It is unbelievable. When it is baking, when it is in the oven, and when it comes out of the oven, the way it will light up your whole entire kitchen with just the aroma is amazing. All I can tell you is have your milk on standby. You are not going to want to let these cool down. And it's even better too if you're baking for a crowd of people. You'll notice those cookies, they won't last long at all. So if you're the baker, I suggest you set yourself 2 or 3 out to the side as they're coming out the oven, because they're not going to stand a chance. Don't try to wait till later. They're not going to last. All right, as I'm turning my dough, I've got everything just about combined in here. I just want to make sure that the cranberries and everything, the chocolate chips, are evenly distributed throughout. And if you get, give me a close up here, you see how that dough is very tacky. You see how it's sticking to my spatula there? That's the consistency you want it to be. You don't want it any looser or any tighter than that. Now I'm going to portion them out and they're ready to go. But I'm going to put mine in the fridge for a couple of days. So I've had them sitting in the fridge for 2 days now. And here's the final result. I mean, you've got yourself some cranberry, white chocolate chip cookies with orange zest as the secret ingredient. I hope y'all enjoy it. Please keep baking.